Hello everyone. Today we are starting with the same chapter, that is calorimetry, and today's topic are thermal capacity and specific heat capacity. Now let us start with the first topic, that is thermal capacity. But before that, let me remind you what we have done. We have discussed about the heat, what is heat, what are the units, and what is temperature, how does the heat flow. These things we have discussed. So today the another topic we are having, the thermal capacity. Now suppose if I ask you on which factor the heat absorbed depends, so you simply say it depends on the heat absorbed depends on the mass of the body, okay, and it depends on the change in temperature. So these are the two factors on which the heat absorbed depend. Means ke when the body is absorbing heat, it depends on its mass, it depends on the change in temperature. So on combining these two equations, we get Q equals to Q directly proportional to M del T, and on removing this proportionality sign we have to put a constant here, and the constant which we are using is C M del T. So from here we can find out the value of this C. This C will be equals to how much? Q M del T. And if the value of this mass, say if the value of this mass equals to 1, that means if we are talking about the unit mass, in that case C equals to Q upon del T. So from here and from here we come to the conclusion, we can give the definition of this thermal capacity, and we are able to give the definition of the specific heat capacity. If I want to define the thermal capacity, I simply says that thermal capacity of heat is nothing but it is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of the body by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, thermal capacity means the amount of heat required to change the temperature of the body by 1 degree Celsius, or we can say it is the amount of heat required to change the temperature of a given mass of a body by 1 degree Celsius. Thermal capacity is denoted by capital C, and capital C equals to Q upon del T. Okay, if you talk about the unit, so the unit of heat will be joule, and this temperature may be in Kelvin or it may be in degree Celsius. So the unit is joules per Kelvin, or we can say joules per degree Celsius. So these are the unit of this thermal capacity. Now if we talk about the specific heat capacity, for the specific heat capacity we have to consider the mass also. So specific heat capacity is denoted by small c, and it's equals to Q upon M del T. That means we have to consider the mass also. In the thermal capacity we are not considering the mass, we simply say कि जितना भी mass given है उस पूरे mass का temperature तुमने 1 degree Celsius से rise करना है. And if we talk about the specific heat capacity, we simply say that specific heat capacity is the amount of heat required to change to increase the temperature of a unit mass by 1 degree Celsius. यहाँ पे पूरी बॉडी का टेम्परेचर 1 डिग्री सेल्सियस से, पूरे मास का टेम्परेचर 1 डिग्री सेल्सियस से रेज करना है, तो उसको क्या बोलोगे? थर्मल कैपेसिटी बोलोगे. अगर यूनिट मास है तो यूनिट मास का टेम्परेचर आपने 1 डिग्री सेल्सियस से इंक्रीज करना है, तो वी कॉल्ड इट अ स्पेसिफिक हीट कैपेसिटी. ओके, नाउ वंस अगेन, अमाउंट ऑफ हीट एब्जॉर्ब डिपेंड्स ऑन दीज टू फैक्टर्स. एक तो एम के ऊपर डिपेंड करती है और एक डेल टी के ऊपर डिपेंड करती है. वी हैव कंबाइंड दीज टू इक्वेशंस. ऑन कंबाइनिंग वी आर गेटिंग दिस. C is the constant which we are using here. This constant is called the specific heat capacity, and specific heat capacity equals to C equals to, it is small c equals to Q M del T. So अगर मास को मैं 1 कर दूं, दैट मीन्स इफ आई इग्नोर द मास, मास को इग्नोर हम लोग कर दे तो Q अपॉन डेल टी, Q अपॉन डेल टी आ जाएगा. Q अपॉन डेल टी मीन्स के दिस इज द थर्मल कैपेसिटी. सो फॉर डिफाइनिंग थर्मल कैपेसिटी वी सिंपली से कि इट इज द अमाउंट ऑफ हीट रिक्वायर्ड टू चेंज द टेम्परेचर ऑफ अ given mass by 1 degree Celsius. If we try to define the specific heat capacity, we simply define that amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a unit mass by 1 degree Celsius. Now coming to the relation between capital C and small c, अगर दोनों के बीच में रिलेशन निकालना हो, किस में रिलेशन निकालना है? स्मॉल c में और कैपिटल C में. स्मॉल c means small c is the specific heat capacity and capital C is the thermal capacity. दोनों में क्या निकालना है? Relation I want to find. So small c में और capital C में relation निकालना है कि we know that this small c equals to Q upon M del T. Okay, Q upon del M del T. So C from here, C equals to Q upon del T upon M. We can write it like this, but this value is what? This value is capital C. So in place of this we can write capital C. So capital C upon M we can say, or we can say that capital C equals to C into M. So this is the relation. So we can give it like this, that thermal capacity equals to mass into specific heat capacity, and unit of thermal capacity is joules per Kelvin, and unit of specific heat capacity equals to joules per kg per degree Kelvin. So these are the units. Okay, उसमें kg भी आ जाएगा, उसमें आपका जूल आएगा. So I think this all is clear in your mind. Now after this we have to start with the important part of the chapter, that is your calorimetry. And calorimetry we are starting in the next video. Okay, so don't miss that video. So for today only this much. Just learn this, try to derive the relation between them. Okay, thank you very much.